This old climber, Lionel Terray, he's a French climber, first climbed Annapurna. They asked him what he was going to do in his old age when he couldn't do all those hard climbs. He says, I'm going to go back and repeat the climbs of my childhood. I learned to fish with a wet fly, and it just stuck on me, I guess. For me, it's the most satisfying method of fishing because it's the simplest. I can always catch fish. I can tie the flies, they're very simple to tie. So I'm kind of completing the circle, I guess. I think using Tenkara teaches you the basics. And then you can apply that to a regular rod and reel. And in fact, you know, I fish 50% of the time with a rod and reel still. A snap C. And it's a change of direction cast. So you make a big circle and then you do a roll cast. So all I'm doing is a clockwise motion and bringing the line up and laying it down here. Then I'm in the line upstream, and then as soon as the line's tight, I start doing these little twitches. See that? That imitates gives action to the fly, imitates a little emerger swimming to the surface or something. So after every cast, I take, you know, 2 steps down. I mend upstream so that the fly isn't doing this business. And I start twitching. Only the top 1.5 foot of the rod is moving. The rod itself doesn't move. The problem with trying to do this with a stiff, regular fishing rod is you can't impart that twitch very easily because they're too stiff. The twitch is trying to imitate a little soft hackle as an emerger going up to the surface like this in 2-inch increments. If you can do that in front of a trout's nose, they can't resist. This riffly water holds a lot of fish. Even though it's traveling really fast and looks like there's no way a fish, whoops, I just missed one. There's no way a fish could hold there. In reality, it's just full of fish. That's because there's a lot of oxygen. The rough water offers cover for the fish from the eagles and the ospreys. So I'm just casting right in this fast water and giving it a little twitch. It's really important that you don't point your rod at the water because a bigger fish will immediately break you off. So you have to, after the cast, I raise the rod up and I start twitching. So the rainbows are in the faster water and the browns are a little bit slower water. I fish Tenkara rod about 50% of the time. because I really like the purity of it, the simplicity of it, and especially when you're catching small trout, you're not overpowering it with a big giant rod and reel and stuff. So, but on a river like this, there could be some really hot rainbows out here. Even a 16-inch rainbow gets in the fast current and you can't hold them with a tenkara. So you have to throw your rod in, and which is fine, because as soon as you let up the pressure, they stop fighting, and you just go out and retrieve your rod and bring the fish in. But on a river like this, they may end up, you know, several hundred yards downstream, and it's extremely difficult wading. So what I'm going to do is fish a tenkara technique, but with a rod and reel. And if you have the proper rod, which this is a 10-foot 2-weight rod, and it has a very delicate action. So look at the tip. Pretty good. The rod doesn't move, I'm just moving the tip. And I underline it with, I put a 1-weight line on it instead of a 2-weight. And so I fish it exactly like the tenkara. I let out 20 feet of line. I hold the line under my finger, and I forget that there's a reel. And in fact, when I catch a fish, I don't bother putting him on the reel or anything. I just haul him in just like tenkara. So this is a tenkara rod with a reel, is what it is. And that's what I'm going to use today, just in case I get a bigger fish. You actually land a fish much more quickly with tenkara than you do with rod and reel. Woo, strong fish. Brown trout, I think. Since I didn't have any reel, you know, you got to use the bend of the rod to fight the fish. That's all you have, and you have your legs. So it's kind of a rodeo. You got to really, it's an athletic sport instead of just sitting there cranking down your drag on your reel. When I started getting the hang of this, I started throwing my rod in. 3 different times when I couldn't handle a fish, I threw my rod in, and basically they would run around all over the place, and I'd watch my rod bobbing up and down, getting away from me, and then the fish would come back right back to its lie where I originally hooked it. So now I don't even run after him. I just sit down, have a cigarette, wait for him to come back.